What's up, everyone? Welcome to Among the Fence, my YouTube channel where I do music reviews. My name is Aaron, and today we check out the new album Fearless in Love by the band Voyager. Voyager is an Australian progressive pop metal band that uses 80s style elements in their music, such as keyboard synth, and they even do like guitar solos and stuff like that. They formed in 1999, and Fearless in Love is their 8th studio album. I did a review on their last album, Colors in the Sun, which I gave it a 4 out of 10 due to the lack of creativity. Even though they use a lot of different instruments, I felt like it was just not, I just wasn't really feeling it. It felt like they could have done a lot more with what they were using. Otherwise, it's great, especially since I love that 80s, just that nostalgia that they carry with it. And it's been about 4 years since they released that album. So let's see what they've come up with in that time. The album opens up with the song The Best Intentions. It starts off with a synth-heavy chorus that builds into a fantastic sounding riff. I wish the riff would have stuck around as it goes into the verse, but instead we get a really heavy bass line. In fact, it'll rattle your walls as it goes into the second chorus. The bridge has a more daring vocal performance, which I enjoyed a lot, and they bring that riff back again in the instrumental. It reminds me a lot of the same riff that's in Toys from Coheed and Cambria. I believe it's off of their Unheavenly Creatures album, maybe, and it just has that great rock sound to it. Then we have the song Prince of Fire, which mixes a lot of the heaviness with a bouncy synth. The music between the verses is absolutely brilliant. It's produced kind of heavily, but it's not just this wall of sound that's coming at you. You can really hear all the different notes being played. You can even hear the synth melody that's audible in the chorus as it's just kind of hanging out in the background. And I love that they let the music breathe. They let you just really hear it and you get to rock out for a second. And the low growl going into the breakdown is just it's so good. It's so unexpected. And not only that, but it shows a more sinister side to the meaning of this song. And then we have the song Ultraviolet, which features Sean Hermanis from Make Them Suffer, which also has a very strong 80s feel to it, mixed with a solo to match. The pre-chorus drops down as the lyrics kind of portray a feeling of letting go of control. The chorus acts more like a catalyst into a really heavy post-chorus that's got some powerful riffs, and Sean Hermanis' dirty vocals adds just a much needed, just gritty, dirty layer to this song that's overall just really pretty sounding, and it adds a little bit more of a dynamic, especially going into the outro before just this really cool, smooth guitar solo. I'm going to jump ahead to my favorite song on this album, Twisted, which has this really pretty melody with a low growl in front. The riff in verse 2 is super groovy, and the drums absolutely steal the show. In the chorus, the solo sounds great, and this whole song just has a more modern feel to it. Even though it has some synth stuff and it has an 80s vibe, this definitely feels a lot more modern than the other songs, and I really enjoyed it, especially the last time the chorus comes around. I also really enjoyed the song Submarine, which starts off with this fat riff and a really cool synth part. There's a good amount of music going on in the verse with a lot of like separation between the music and the vocals. They feel like, I don't know, it's like they're not mixed completely together, if that really even makes sense, until the chorus comes in. Then finally you get the mashup of the two, which is pretty cool, because this is a song about feeling like, or I guess being in isolation and then coming out of that isolation and joining society once again post-COVID. The solo and the outro make for an absolutely good midpoint climax to this album as well. Another song that stuck out to me a lot was the song Promises, which is about clinging on to something that makes you happy to help you make it through trying times. I mean, of course, there's unhealthy ways to cope with stuff, but I feel like this is something that gives you hope, something that helps you push through times of chaos. It's mostly a synth beat and drums in the intro. All this drops out though as it goes to the pre-chorus, other than just a really strong vocal presence. The chorus is pretty simple and poppy. I didn't really enjoy it quite as much, but I feel like the rest of the song is where the meat is. The second pre-chorus is absolutely great, as is the breakdown after the second chorus, and it's just everything all around the choruses is what really shined to me, including the emotionally charged bridge, which is fantastic. Then we have the song Dreamer, which has a lot of synth. It reminds me of like a video game in the intro, and it just increases as this song progresses. The vocals have like this echoey kind of quality to it as it goes into the chorus. It was a little silly at first, but honestly, it kind of works with all the other crazy sounds that are going on in the song. Then we have the song The Lamenting, which, like the name suggests, this is not quite as joyful or as uplifting and as poppy as the other songs on this. The chorus is really dramatic with everything really drawn out, but it does have really good metaphors in it. They're really great at using the instrumental breaks in their songs to build emotional tension, and that works really well in this song. Daydream starts out kind of peaceful as it goes hard on the 80s sound. The drums really keep the energy going, especially in the chorus. There's a ton of different layers in this song, from the lead guitar adding a little bit of atmosphere in the background to this really colorful synth that is also kind of hanging out in the background. And you don't realize how much stuff is going on until it all drops out as it goes into the intro. It feels like everything's really chaotic and you don't really understand how crazy it is until it's all gone. Then we have the song Listen, which is another really cool song that I enjoyed a lot. It has like this cascading kind of synth with an almost funky guitar that I enjoyed. The lead guitar plays along with the vocal melody in the chorus. It just gives a little bit more power to it, a little bit more feel and emotion. The instrumental break and the solo are absolutely beautiful, especially how it just drops out and it's just bass and drums at first, and they kind of ease into it, and I really enjoyed that. And then we have the closing track, Gren, or it's also considered the title track song, Fearless in Love. It comes in really slow with this strong synth presence. The verses have some glimmering kind of background sounds going on with pounding drums. The chorus is almost more of a guitar solo, as it sounds like it might be just a little bit louder than the vocals. And it wasn't really an issue, it's just it's something I kind of noticed. It feels like a good closing track as it gives you closure for all the emotion in this album, but it's kind of long, and at the same time it just feels really slow. It doesn't feel like it's really going anywhere. So because of that, it almost feels like as a standalone song, it feels like it's just dragging its feet. But in the course of the whole album, it works out really well. But the more I listened to it, the more I kind of felt like this one might be my least favorite track on this thing. I found myself enjoying this album so much more than the last album, Colors in the Sun. They still use all the same stuff. They use the same synth, they use the same instruments. It's just now they're a lot more creative with it seems like. Which I felt like it was just, that was my only complaint with the last album. They just weren't doing what I felt like they could have been doing. Not only were they not using their instruments and their talents to their full abilities, it felt like they weren't really using them like at all, or maybe it was just the mix, maybe they weren't really shining through at moments. I felt like they played it a little too safe, and they could have been more daring with the tools that they had. And I felt like I felt like they were daring on this. I felt like they used a lot more potential and they tried a lot harder, and not only tried, but I don't know, I feel like they were just feeling the music a lot more. You could tell that these guys are enjoying what they're doing in this. And I'm not saying they weren't in their last album, it's just you could really feel it. You could definitely feel it in this album. There's a lot more passion to it, a lot more care went into everything. And don't get me wrong, this album is far from perfect. All the heavy moments kind of do the same thing. All the synth and all the intros kind of make each song sound like the same, and they use all the same kind of elements. So yeah, there are moments in this where if you get kind of lost and you're like, I feel like I've already heard this before, but it's still really good. The riffage is fantastic. The drum work, everything that they do is just top notch. Sure, they're not like, playing crazy heavy stuff, but they're doing what they want to be doing in the genre that they're doing it in. I feel like they're really pushing it forward. They're doing a great job at that. So with all that said, I gotta give Fearless in Love by Voyager a 6.8 out of 10. But I want to know what you guys think. Leave a comment below letting me know what you thought of Fearless in Love. Let me know what you rate it and what your favorite song is. And if you've never listened to it, go ahead and give this album a listen, because I enjoyed it quite a bit. Even though I said it's far from perfect, it'll definitely put a smile on your face, especially when you hear some of the cool riffs going on and all the synth stuff. It's, like I said, it's kind of produced, but at the same time, it doesn't completely ruin the songs like a lot of more modern metal does. And if you enjoyed this review, don't forget to give it a like. If you want to help support me and my channel, please consider subscribing and ringing the bell icon. Doing any of that helps me out tremendously, especially with YouTube's algorithm. It'll keep me in your recommended. list that YouTube gives you. And it just, yeah, I just appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day to listen to me sit here and talk about music. And I hope you have a good rest of your day or night, whenever you have been watching this. And I will talk to you guys next time.
I was trying